Hey, it's Mike with 1019 The Keg back at it with Nick for another vlog. And it's been a couple weeks, Nick. How you been, man?
I've been trying to grow a beard.
Yeah, no shave November. Me and Nick both agreed on this. And Nick, have you ever grown out a full beard?
No,
All right.
honestly, never.
All right. You got the dark hair, so it's already showing up pretty good on you.
Is it? Because I'm going to be honest, I'm about 2 weeks in. Because the last time I shaved was toward the end of October. That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
happened.
You look
before
nice
November.
and nice and rough by the end of
It's
I forgot
real
the other
itchy
day.
down
I
here.
shaved. I shaved on like November 3rd. I'm sorry.
Mike, you already failed No Shave
I know.
November.
But we're going to go from I'll just go 3 days over into December. So
That's okay. That works.
we'll go from there. So we wanted to do this week something that we hadn't done yet, and it was top 5 albums for us personally, but not like top 5 favorite albums.
Mm-hmm.
More so top 5 most influential albums to your life.
Yes.
So you think you could pull up 5 albums for us on this one, Nick?
At least it was harder for me to narrow it down than it was to find them.
Right. So I'll start off. So mine was tough because growing up, we didn't have a ton of money, so I never really got to buy a lot of albums. And when I bought CDs and stuff, it was usually greatest hits or like soundtracks because you got to get your bang for the buck, right?
Oh, of course.
But my dad was always into tech. Even though we couldn't afford a lot of tech, we had a CD player before anybody else I knew. But for like 2 years as a kid, we only had one CD. And it was the Eagles' Greatest Hits 71, 75. It's the greatest selling album of all time. More copies sold than Thriller. And that
Really?
Yes.
A greatest hits album.
Yep.
Huh.
Eagles' Greatest Hits 71, 75. Greatest selling album of all time. And Hotel California is third greatest selling album of all time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so as much as people like to bash on the Eagles because they're big Lebowski fans, I have a soft spot for the Eagles, man. That's number one for me is my most earliest influential album in my life. What about you?
Number one for me. Definitely too young for this. I was 10 when my parents got it to me. It was
Okay.
for my 10th birthday. Black Parade from My Chemical Romance.
As
Not-
a 10-year-old.
Yeah,
Interesting.
the unedited version because my parents were super cool. Little irresponsible, but really cool. And I think it kind of set forth like a domino effect to kind of define the rest of me.
I remember when that album came out, it was everywhere.
It's such a good album. Like the singles are solid, but like the album as a whole, it's ridiculous.
I never got into My Chemical Romance. Had a lot of friends that did. Had a girlfriend back in the day that did. It didn't do it for me, but I remember that album being just absolutely everywhere when it came out. Was it 2006?
It was 2006.
All right, yeah. Okay, so My Chemical Romance and the Eagles.
Yeah.
Pretty different gap there. For my second album, most influential for me as a kid, the first CD that I ever got to pick out and I bought with in my parents' money, I was a kid, was Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? I saw Wayne's World and the scene where Garth is doing the Foxy. That I lost it. I thought that was the coolest, and I asked who that was. What song was that? And it was Jimi Hendrix. I got the CD, and like it was a cassette in like 92, 93, and I wore that thing out. There's so many hits. I would say that's got to be top 5, one of the best debut albums of all time. There's so many hits on that.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I need to listen to more classic albums.
Yeah. What do you got for number 2?
We're a little closer on number 2, actually.
Okay.
The Wall.
Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd, The Wall.
Pink Floyd makes an appearance on my list. Okay.
So-
what specifically about The Wall?
Oh, Mike, there's a story here.
Okay.
I'll try to keep it short. But basically, I was 13,
Yeah.
met a girl from another town,
Uh-oh.
and I happened to be wearing a Pink Floyd shirt while I met her. And she's like, "Oh, you like Pink Floyd?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
Sure.
totally love Pink
If
Floyd."
you like Pink Floyd, I love Pink Floyd.
She was really cute.
Okay.
And then after we, because it was like a field trip type of situation we met, I got back home and I actually dug into The Wall, and I loved it.
It's great.
It's so good.
I'm a huge Roger Waters fan. Yeah. The Wall is really good.
That was the first album I could listen to all the way through, front to back. Like I could with My Chemical Romance a bit, but
Yeah.
I was young and it was a little uncomfortable. But this one, just all the way.
I would say okay. So with that, I'll bring up mine because I said Pink Floyd makes an appearance on my list too. Mine was Dark Side of the Moon.
Dark Side is really good.
Dark Side of the Moon. My dad had the album right before the CD player. We had the album of that, and I listened to it a lot. It was a short enough. I think it's only like 38 minutes from front to back, so I could listen to the whole thing. And that was that's the first time, like you said, kind of with The Wall for me. Dark Side of the Moon. It was the first time where I was like, I'm gonna skip that song.
Yeah.
Like to me, and now when you hear Pink Floyd's song and it's just one single and you don't hear the whole album,
It doesn't feel right.
It's like watching a scene from a movie, just like a random scene. You got to see the whole movie, right?
When I listen to The Wall, I need to dedicate like hours.
Right.
To that. Well,
We go down that
yeah.
wormhole, and that's what happens. Right?
it's definitely a wormhole.
Okay, so we both got Pink Floyd on our list. What do you got for what was that? That was 3, right? So what do you got for 4?
No, that was 2.
That was 2. I'm getting ahead of myself. What do you got for 3?
Number 3 is Siamese Dream from the Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you got the tattoos and everything. Yeah.
I'm a bit of a Smashing Pumpkins fan.
So I know you're a huge Smashing Pumpkins fan. Why that album specifically?
We're going to get a bit deep right now, Mike.
Oh boy.
I had a lot of anxiety and depression and angst growing up, you know,
yeah.
as a small town teenager does.
Teenage angst.
And that album, I got it for like my 15th birthday. My girlfriend at the time gave it to me.
Okay.
And I listened to it and like it put those feelings into words. It was the first time I heard like an album. It's like, wow, he's really upset and angsty and screamy. I feel that way too. Billy Corgan, you're the best.
Yeah, that was like a whole like genre of music.
Grunge.
Yeah. I mean,
My
don't
favorite.
get me wrong. There's some really great grunge bands. I just didn't get into the grunge.
Says the guy dressed real grungy today.
No, there's a misconception about that.
Oh, is there?
Flannels, people can wear flannels and not be either a grunge head or a lumberjack, all right?
But the beanie is kind of tipping the grunge scale.
You know why I wear a beanie, Nick? This is where I wear a beanie. It is cold in this studio, man. If I don't wear a beanie, I'm going to look like a frozen raisin or something. It won't be a good look. All right, so my third album. I don't know. This is tough for me to put it in because I've already done Pink Floyd. I've already done the Eagles. I would say Metallica, the Black Album.
Oh.
That came out because I as a kid, I had 2 older brothers. They were Metallica fans.
Yeah.
So I knew about Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning and all that stuff from the 80s. But when the Black Album came out, that was like, it was on MTV. The music videos they were playing on top 40 stations. There were chicks that didn't like heavy metal that were listening. Like that was the album that like blew Metallica up. And I was probably 7, I think, when that album came out. And it was just nonstop played in my house. My brothers loved it. I loved it. There were so many great songs. Hearing Metallica do stuff like Nothing Else Matters. Mm-hmm. It was something kind of different. So that was I like heavy metal, but that's by far Metallica Black Album was the album that really got me into everything else like Pantera and some other bands in that kind of genre, I guess.
Fade to Black was on that album, right? Or no?
No.
Am I wrong?
I don't think
I'm wrong.
Faded Black, I do not believe was that. I could be wrong, but I don't think it was on that.
Dad is going to yell at me for that. He raised me on Metallica, and I can't even remember.
Okay, so what do you got for 3?
For 4.
4. I'm bad at counting today.
It's fine. We work in radio. We're not supposed to have numbers.
Jeez.
Appeal to Reason from Rise Against.
Okay. That one's out of my wheelhouse. I've never heard. I probably know 1 or 2 Rise Against songs.
Very politically charged band.
Okay.
It's like punk, sorta. Some people would argue that, but that album, for whatever, again, I was an angsty teenager, and it just fueled the whole punk, anti-government angst, whatever that I had at the time.
Yeah.
But it also opened my eyes to a lot of good, or like cool songwriting stuff. Like I hadn't really heard a lot of anti-war songs up to that point, and a few of the songs on that album were just.
I think you had heard a lot of anti-war songs, but you didn't.
It didn't register, yeah.
Right.
But that album, for whatever reason, just had something click. Like the songwriting, I think was the main thing that got me.
Rise Against.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so I've done Metallica, Floyd, and Eagles. Now, when I was in high school, I for a while got into like top 40 music, and I'm a sucker for a very well produced pop song.
They sound good.
I'll admit it, I am.
It's fine.
I was in the car with my mom. Stairway to Heaven came on, and I was just like, oh my god, what is this? And she's like, it's Led Zeppelin. So I went home and I illegally downloaded every Led Zeppelin song I could.
Legally downloaded.
No. I definitely illegally. I broke many computers back in the day, and so my stepdad at the time, he had done one of those CD things where I don't even think they do this anymore, but you could pay some money and you'd get like 10 CDs at a time, kind of thing.
All right.
It was like $1 and you get 10 CDs.
Okay.
And he was actually somebody that kept doing it, so he had like hundreds of CDs. He had Led Zeppelin, House of the Holy. So I had heard Led Zeppelin. I went home and I downloaded all of these songs, and then I'm looking through his CDs, and the only Zeppelin CD he had was House of the Holy, and I was like, all right, let's do this. And I picked it out, and that thing played in my car stereo in high school for a straight year. Didn't take it like that was what played in my car when I was in high school. House of the Holy.
Year.
It's such a great album, and everybody always talks about 1, 2, 3, 4 being the best probably, and Physical Graffiti and stuff. But man, House of the Holy which does not have that song on it, is my favorite Led Zeppelin album.
I really like the artwork on that album.
Yeah, and now it's politically incorrect. You can't do it.
Yeah, it came under a lot of fire recently, but it's cool artwork.
So that's number 4 for me. What about for you, man?
Number 5?
Well,
Last one?
Yeah, you were. Okay, so I've done 4. Now you're on.
Numbers are hard, Mike.
It is, because I'm getting confused who went first here. So I've done number 4. Now you go do number 5.
All right, so
last one here.
This one's pretty freaking niche. So I'm not sure if you'll get this one right away. Starset Transmissions.
No.
It came out in 2014. I had heard of them, like with that first album.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a show at West Fair in like 2015.
Okay.
And they were there. And then on like the hour and a half it took me and my friends to get out of that parking lot, we listened to that album and I fell in love like right away. What you were talking about, that Led Zeppelin stayed in your car for like a year.
Mm-hmm.
I can't like keep listening to the same CD over and over again until that album. That album was in my car from like 2015 up till mid 2016.
Wow.
That got me through that transition college phase. Because, going from a small town in Iowa to like a big city, Council Bluffs, for college, it was a bit of a culture shock. And it was, I don't know, there's some elements in that album. And I got a Starset.
Oh, there you go.
It's-
Rep at Starset, you got the Smashing Pumpkins tattoos.
Yeah.
Jeez. I don't have any of that.
I'm a music guy.
I'm a music guy too. I don't know. I'm scared of commitment, Nick. I can't get a tattoo.
My tattoo guy's pretty. That can be the next one. Mike gets a tattoo.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so my top 5: Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? Led Zeppelin, House of the Holy, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, Metallica, Black Album, and the Eagles' Greatest Hits 71-75. Your top 5 was again?
It was
Starset.
No, it was Starset Transmissions, Smashing Pumpkins, Siamese Dream, My Chemical Romance, Black Parade, Rise Against Appeal to Reason, Pink Floyd, The Wall. Did I say that yet?
Yep. All right, so there we go. So if you've been listening, you've been watching, we want you to go in the comments and you tell us your 5 most influential albums and why they mean so much to you. Because, like you said, man, these albums, you can be in a transition in your life, you can be in a dark point of your life, and something sparks and it talks to you, and it just makes a complete difference. So let us know, what is the album or the albums that have changed your life?